this, and I started to run some just leads at the top because I wanted to see what would happen.
Hmm.
um, so
That's pretty cool that it's like to a T.
yeah, I mean it's
Like very
well,
close, obviously. Yeah.
yeah. And you know what else is interesting is like because when I
Hmm.
was doing a lot of research on my own, I was like, oh yeah, particle, I totally forgot about them, and oh yeah, tiny circuits, totally forgot about them.
That's awesome. That's
You know,
awesome. Yeah, when that happens, like yeah, you just like keep like refining some new ones, and then that fuels your seed audience. Yeah.
yeah. So I definitely think that this one will work well. So
Hmm.
far, I've only had this running for a day.
Oh yeah, no, it's early. Yeah, it's gonna be optimizing, but pretty nice. Like pretty decent. Like click through rate and yeah.
Yeah, and look at so two initiated checkouts, two add to carts, 8 leads. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you should like let that run and probably be pretty sweet. How much a day are you running this one for?
only $10 a day, but I'm running it across um, 4 different. So this is mobile,
Hmm.
and then it's what I call the purple ad. It's actually 4 different ads, right? So there's
Hmm.
this one does extremely well, although here it's tanking for whatever reason. um,
Interesting.
and this one,
So far, at least, right? 'Cause it's only been a day.
yeah, exactly. Um, so yeah, it's like $10, so $40 a day on this right now.
Hmm. Just something I've like found, and again, like I don't really have like a super solid foundation for this, just more experience than anything. Um, when I run like multiple ads with $10 a day, I feel it's usually less efficient than when I run less ads with a bigger budget. Like when I pass like the $20 mark and up, I feel that it's more predictable. It optimizes more. Like I don't know. I don't know if it's just something that just all like most of my campaigns have been that way. But I noticed that when the budget is lowish, it just it takes like so much longer to optimize, or it just feels like it's like I'm not 100% sure that when I started at like 20 or 25 with like maybe 2 ads only, right? But sometimes of course you need to split test it first, so sometimes I might do exactly what you're doing, like you might do like a one run of like $10 or like something cheap just to kind of get some numbers, like give me something, and then just to determine if ad 1, 2, 3, or 4 was good,
Right.
and then I crank it to like the like whatever whichever one won. But sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe I just do like $20 a day each, and maybe spend more, but maybe that will actually get
Data
better
faster.
result. Yeah, yeah, it's just something I don't know. I've heard people say that the Facebook gives you better quality traffic, uh, with essentially bigger budgets, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, then I guess the next thing to move on to is the actual like the create. Well, I don't know how you want to do this because like, do you want to look at the creative that I did first, or do you
Yes,
want to
yes,
do?
yes. I want to look at the creative, and what I'll do is I'm gonna write a few notes about it right here.
Okay.
And so when we switch to like me showing you some stuff in the screen, then we can kind of compare to what you have, and it'll be maybe easier to like make changes.
Okay.
Cool. Does this pen work? Yeah, this pen works.
You want to share the screen?
No, if you want, you can start by showing me like the content, and then I'll switch after.
Okay. So this one is right now at this point. If we go back to like this whole thing,
Hmm.
and I kind of expanded this a little bit. I actually have 2 different entry points, right?
Hmm.
The entry point one is for people who have no idea what Arduino is, and
Right.
that's not who I want.
Hmm.
but I'm getting more and more of them. Um, I mean, yeah, great, fantastic. Later on, I'll get them, but it's too much to educate them. So this is where I want to be, was entry point 2, and those are
Hmm.
people who, like, if I say the word Arduino to you, you just know what it is,
Right.
right? So that for that, the video that's playing in the ad is this one you've seen I think 100 times already. Become an Arduino master,
Hmm.
and this one does really well. And then this video. Um, this is kind of disjointed and it's becoming um, it's becoming clear that it's disjointed, so
Mhm.
up here I talk about, hey, you want to become an Arduino master, but my video talks about my board, and then at the end it's like, oh, by the way, come and grab my Arduino master thing. So there's like,
Mhm.
it doesn't mesh well, so I think I have to redo this. So that's,
Yeah.
and I think we talked about that one already.
Mhm.
So that's here. Now the first video that I become an Arduino master faster, because I'm just trying to play off of become an Arduino master,
Mhm.
because
What?
yeah.
Sorry. Just, yeah. One question.
Mhm.
Why the word? Like let just like go a little bit into
Sure.
the word faster, right? Like
Hmm.
if someone's responding to a word that's like faster, like a more than, it means that they already do it kind of like with a certain speed, and now you're just offering them to do it faster, right?
Um,
Because it's a comparative, word in its nature, right? So it's like someone telling me like, do you want to lose weight faster, right? So which implies, like, if someone asks me, hey, do you want to lose weight faster, it means that I'm already starting to lose weight. Like I've already started the process or the journey of losing weight, and maybe I'm just not doing it fast enough. Like I need more speed, like more efficiency.
so there's definitely two groups there.
Okay.
There's the
Yeah.
people who are, they know what Arduino is already and they've played with it a bit,
Mm-hmm.
right? And for them, this is a jump start as well.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have the other people who know what Arduino is but haven't played with it yet,
Mm-hmm.
and this is also a jump start for them. So
Mm.
because if we look at, where was that video? I think I put it in the text message, right?
So the first one is, you said, like, they know what their Arduino is and they're already playing with it. The other one, they know what it is but they're not playing with it.
Correct. But in
Mhm.
either instance, my kit is actually valid for both
Right.
instances. So so this is the ad that I wanted. I started to run a little bit, but I haven't done too much of. And what feels like 4 miles worth of loose wires. I don't know if you can hear the. Can you hear
Yes.
the?
Yeah,
Okay.
I can. Scroll up a bit. Yeah. Mhm. So the audience, is the audience that you're running this traffic to a combination of both, of that they know what their Arduino is and they also and they're playing with it, and the other audience that knows what it is but is not playing with it.
It's to both, and actually,
Okay.
right now it's only to people who have already downloaded the Arduino Master PDF, because I'm kind of seeing that
Right.
as the entry point, and then once they have it, in the Arduino Master stuff, I do talk about the Dr. Arduino a bit,
Hmm.
but I do give valuable, quote unquote valuable. It's crap, but
Hmm.
I give tips there. Um,
Hmm.
but at that point, that person, they know what Arduino is, and they are one of those two people. To answer your question, they are
Hmm.
either they've played with it or they want to play with it. It's one or the other.
What's one step before that? Like the guys that I guess don't know about the Arduino, or is there something in between that they might know about, like maybe like another PO, like the breadboard, but they just don't know what their Arduino is? So would that be like one step before, or?
Um, yeah, you could definitely have people who are like me, but just have not heard or tried Arduino yet. Um,
So what are they currently doing? Just like nothing, or are they just like diving into the breadboard or something else?
yeah, they'll do it. They'll do it breadboard wise.
Hmm.
They'll do it like that. They'll do it. There's these things called bit bangers. It's kind of a crappy way of doing things.
Hmm.
Um, but by far, the most popular way is with the breadboard.
Hmm. And then one step before that is just that fully they just don't know. They just know that they like electronics, and that's it, basically.
Correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
that they like electronics that do stuff, right?
Hmm.
Um, but I don't want those people, and I don't want the people the next tier down.
Why? Yeah. What's the main reason or reasons that you don't want?
I don't have any creative for that right now.
Mhm,
I definitely I want to get there because that's probably a larger
mhm,
funnel at the very top. Um, and I started fleshing out like a video for that,
mhm,
and some creative for it. But because a lot of people, that first ad that we started talking about, not this one that I just showed you, the one before that,
mhm.
I was getting a lot of comments like, "What's Arduino? What is an Arduino? What's an
Oh, I
Arduino?" And I
see.
was like, "Oh my god, if I have to answer this question one more time." Um,
Yeah.
so it's that ad is not the right one for those people. The right one for those
Yes.
people is,
Mhm,
hey, if you've never heard of Arduino, it can do a lot of cool stuff. Let me show you things like
mhm,
this and this and this and this. Do you want to learn
mhm,
more? And then, right. So I think that is here. That's entry point one, right? So what do you do with Arduino?
mhm.
And
Yeah.
this can be a mix of people who both have no idea about electronics and they just kind of think it's cool,
Mhm,
right? Or you could have guys like me who just haven't played with Arduino yet, right?
mhm.
So they could fall in here as well.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I'm taking notes. I think. Yeah, this is gonna be fun.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
Um, so yeah, so then that video that I just showed you, that is, my basically me creating the breadboard as the evil entity.
Yes. Exactly.
So that's me pitching that. Um, I haven't made this creative yet, and what this is going to target is, so have you ever, maybe I've never even shown you this before. It might be useful for you to like know some of the backstory on me.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be really helpful.
Okay. And I'm sure you're real busy, but should you ever want to try this stuff, let me know. I'm happy to send you a kit.
Yeah, you know what, bro? Like right now, I'm like trying really hard to like set up like as much infrastructure and systems because I have like so many things that I just want to do for like the fun of it, and this definitely is one of them.
Oh, good.
Yeah, yeah, it just looks really fun. Just something that I know I would geek out on just because like I'm like that too, you know?
It's awesome. I think it's from what I know about you. I think you would love
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it looks like it.
Okay, so this particular kit, this allows you to kind of build a robot that can see.
It's awesome.
So that's what this is here. These are, they're called ultrasonic sensors, whatever. Here's the breadboard. Here's an Arduino. Here's some switches over here. This battery, and these right there, those are loose resistors.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's what ends up happening with these kits.
Mm-hmm.
Over time, you end up like, oh, I'll use this resistor over there and some over there, and now your kit ends up becoming, over the course of weeks,
Mm-hmm.
shrunken down. You lose this, you lose that, you lose this, you lose that, and now
Right.
your kit that you had ends up being this bare thing that you kind of have to throw away, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I buy like another kit altogether, right? Because it's so frustrating. Like, screw it, start over.
Exactly. So that's one of the other quote unquote benefits of my kit, is that once it's together, it's together. You're
Yeah,
not
that's a
gonna
huge help.
go out and get it again. And by the way, it does these other four things that
Hmm.
no other kit on the market does. Um, so that's what I wanted the retargeting video to be. I just haven't gotten there yet.
Hmm.
And then from there, it was running in parallel the four different uses. So the first one, the test fixture. Did you see that one?
Text feature.
Let me. Actually, this is good because I think once you see what the board does,
Hmm.
it might make it clearer for you to.
Yeah.
Okay, so here it is as a test fixture.
See?
I'm going to put the volume on because I don't have an ad
Mhm.
running for this yet. The Dr. Arduino Uno starter kit is also a fantastic test fixture. Let's say you just want to monitor your voltages that are on board. You can easily do that. Let's say that you need to attach scope probe, attach to one side to whatever the pin is that you're interested in. The other, keep round. Simple as that. So that is actually incredibly infuriating when you're trying to work with the breadboard version.
Mm-hmm.
There is no place to do that. You can't attach your probes at all. You
Mm-hmm.
can't. It just doesn't exist. So what you end up doing is you end up like putting these loose and bare wires into the breadboard, and it just makes it a freaking nightmare. Like that's just the best way I can describe it. So
Mm-hmm.
by giving all of these points around the perimeter, it's making it into a breadboard test fixture. So people love it for that. And then let's see. This is as a hardware simulator,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll see what this means in a second. Let's say you're working on your latest project, and you need just one more LED. So you reach into your bag, one LED, and you don't have it. Now you're stuck. Now you can't code. Now you can't do anything. Well, not with everything that you need all the time. It's also super small and super portable, allowing you to work anywhere. So that's that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize that these are really cheesy, by the way.
No, I don't think so. I think they're good. I think they're nice. Just like, yeah.
Let's see, this is a debugger.
Like, I think that like it would be called cheesy if you were like trying too hard. If you were like, hey, like trying to like overhype them or something. But like no, but like, you're just normal and you've taught so many times that you're just so natural. So that's why I don't think it's cheesy. You're just like, yeah, listen, this is how it is, and you can do this, and just like very straightforward. Like I think it's great.
Okay, then that's good. I'm glad it's coming across that way.
Yes.
The final feature here is I call it reroute it technology. It's
Mm-hmm.
nothing really. It's a jumper, but this is what it can do.
Yeah.
It was also really great at intercepting signals from the Arduino board below, shield above. With the move of a simple jumper, I can reroute the signal from the Arduino to your shield at the top. This super powerful feature allows you to easily determine where your problem is. By simply moving the jumper, you're isolating your hardware from your code.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a super powerful feature of it.
What can you normally do with that?
So let's say in that video you saw that I had that an LED sitting on the top, the red one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now normally when you build Arduino stuff, it's like you have the Arduino Uno on the bottom, that's the blue board, and then your whatever it is that you're building on top of it. Those are called. Let me just show you because I might make this. Those are called shields. Okay, so this is an Arduino. This is an Arduino. It's just the different colors, whatever. Let me find a good example. Okay, this is a good example of it. Oh my God, the blazing speed of it all. Okay, so this one board will actually give you barometric pressure, temperature, luminosity of like the light around it. It can do all sorts of stuff, right? And it's in the same form factor where this just sits directly on top of the Arduino Uno. So this is called the shield, right? But now let's say that there's a problem in between this shield and your code. It's very difficult to isolate because you can't probe and
like individually.
Exactly. So my board allows you to get in the middle and reroute the signal so that way
so you can test it, like like basically.
Exactly. Yeah. So
yeah, I can see what that would be useful. Yeah, you go from like unknown to like, oh, I know what part is wrong,
exactly.
instead of just like freaking rolling the dice a little bit.
Exactly. So that's why this one kit is really, yeah, okay, it's a learning kit, but in the end, man, this thing it's a samurai sword. It's it's a machete. It's everything. So that was that one, and I think that's it. So that is right. So what did we see? We saw as a test fixture. Oh, I have a typo there. Both says test fixture. Hardware debugger, and as a learning kit. So I think actually one of these I got to get rid of. So that's the structure, and the videos that I have, but I haven't rolled it out yet.
No, I think that's good. Yeah, no, you have a lot of really cool content, and I think that what we're gonna see right now, it might give you yeah, just like all the missing pieces, because I know where the issue lies right now. Like I think like with what you showed me, I'm like really clear, and so yeah, we're gonna
Cool.
go into it. Just give me 1 sec. I'm just writing down one last thing. Oh, something you said last.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Alrighty, want me to take?
Sure.
Okay, so first I'm gonna just go into a little bit of like theory slash
Yep. Please.
yeah, and then we'll bring it into like a really cool practical example. So this is something that I learned from a guy called Rich Schefrin, and also Todd Brown, and then another guy called Andre. Like all these guys, like have done like really crazy like $1 million launches and have made like millions and millions over like their marketing career. And so they've noticed that like there were certain things that were like small levers. I'll just call them that way. Oops. A small lever, which means it might open a small window, a small door, and then there's like big levers. So small levers would be things like, sometimes like the length of like the video, or like some really like crazy like ninja strategy, like tactic, like inside Facebook ads. Like, hey, try with like, the color blue. Like blue is like the best. Like those are small levers. Like, yes, they obviously do open some doors and they have some leverage, some power, but it's not a big lever. A big lever would be more like, are you having like the right copy, like the right headline? The right headline is a big lever, right? Like even Trey told us, like you're like 80% of people that buy, like, that's like a headline, right? So like the headline is like a big lever. So one of the things that's like a really big lever is being able to differentiate the difference between just like providing value. Like providing value is good, right? Like we're obviously doing it. You can see some people are like getting warmed up more. It's cool. But there's a big difference between just giving value. Yeah, giving value and being able to give value while instilling the right belief systems.
Would it be easier for you? Like it looks like this thing can do text on the AA over there.
Yes.
That might make it, because when I refer back to this, it would make my life easier too.
Yeah, totally. Okay, let's do that. Yeah, totally. I want to get like one of those pens where I can actually write. Like,
oh yeah,
I'm with like the pad and like my one finger. Like so awkward.
Yeah, I get it.
Is that how you spell lever?
I think it's lever, L-E. But you're asking
lever, yeah.
I can't spell to save my life, so.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, do you understand the difference between like what I mean by like some of the smaller things, and and sometimes the problem is that a lot of people get caught up in the small ones.
Yep.
And I think you had that same conversation the other day where you're like, yeah, a lot of people think that like it's like about the wire, like the one wire that you buy, that like if you get the wire, like it's like, no, it's not the wire. Like you just need to have the whole thing work properly, or like you need the Arduino.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm gonna show you something really cool. And I just took a screenshot of this guy. I'm just gonna try to like make it better. This is really cool. You can see it, right? My full screen?
Yeah, I just see circles.
Okay, cool. So let me, okay. Probably a little bit bigger than that.
Okay, bud. All right. My dog. Okay. Let's just sit here.
How's she feeling, by the way?
The other one, she's finally she's over the hump this time. I mean, it's going to happen again, but we manage the symptoms as best as we can.
I'm literally trying to spell symptoms.
I think so.
Yeah, just looks super super weird with like all caps. And you'll see why. Like this, like we'll keep reference back to this one because it's really. Okay.
Yeah, the overlapping.
Mm-hmm. Symptom solution. Okay, and root cause. Mm-hmm. And finally, your product. Your product's in like the center of it all. So yeah, like one of the cool things like this guy was sharing was like, this guy's done like he did this campaign that he launched in 1 month, like $3.5 million.
Oh my God.
In the first month, bro. And then over the course of that campaign, $40 million. Like just one solid ass campaign where he just running and running as much traffic as you want, as many affiliates as you want, because it's all proven to convert. And everyone was like, how do you do it, dude? Is this guy right here, Rich Schaefer? If you ever want to like just look him up a bit more. This guy made this PDF called the Internet Business Manifesto, which essentially just took off. Essentially, just like 2 million plus people like have downloaded his PDF.
Wow.
And so it was really cool because what he did was the following. Okay, he was obviously advertising to marketing niche, like internet marketers like us type of thing, and he realized that there was like a problem that at the time no one had said. So you've heard about the whole like shiny object syndrome, right?
Yep.
Of being like an opportunity seeker. Well, at the time he launched this campaign, no one had like identified that was like the problem for like a lot of people. So, what was happening was like people were like, man, like, let's now start diving into this with that example. So they were like, man, like I really want to make money online, right? Like I really want to like quit my job, like all these things that we want, right? But the problem that I think it is, or like that you think it is, might be like, hey, I just need to know like, more about Facebook ads, or I need to know more about like the right tactic or the right thing, right? And so the symptoms that they were having of this problem were that, well, and you probably relate to this, and I've certainly been to it, which you start to get overwhelmed, you start getting anxious, you're like, okay, so like which tactic, like I see conflicting information, and it just becomes like this whirlwind. And usually what ends up happening is that people just quit. You just quit, you give up, and like it sucks, right? So he came in with like this revolutionary idea, and he said, guys, I get it, yeah, like we all want to make money, totally. The solution is not, as you guys think, a better strategy, a better tactic. The solution is the following. First, before we look at the solution, we need to look at the problem. And he said, he reframed them the problem. He said the problem is not the fact that you need a better strategy, all that. The root cause of that, so you take it almost like a one level deeper, right? It's like the root cause is not that you need a better like strategy, whatever. The root cause is that you're being an opportunity seeker. You're an info addict. You're jumping into every single course, webinar thing, and thinking that you'll finally get that magic bullet. You'll finally get this one thing that you need. When in reality it's not a one thing that you need. That's just, you think that's the problem, but that's not the problem. The root cause is that you're being a opportunity seeker, and what you need to be instead is a strategic entrepreneur. So he had this like shift in their minds where people were like, oh my goodness, and he proved it. He was like, listen, like, all these symptoms that you guys have is not a problem of that. It's a deeper problem of that. And so the solution is to be a what do you call it? Like a strategic entrepreneur.
Hmm.
So of course, when his product launch, which was like how to become a strategic entrepreneur,
There you go. He framed it.
it was so primed and so perfect, and everyone was like, oh my gosh, like, because the thing is, they could, like, he could vocalize the problem better than they could. They're like, yeah, like, I feel that I'm super overwhelmed and stressed and all these different things, and he's like, guys, like, I get it, but it's not this one. Like, it is not what you think the problem is. The problem is this other thing. And so that causes a couple of things in people, and this is what we're going to start kind of getting into. um, it all really revolves around this question: what do they need to believe, in order to buy? What do they need to believe in order to buy? And so the crazy thing about this too is that they usually it usually falls into like three main categories of beliefs. And if you've ever taken webinars, even I think like Trailer Wyland like nailed all of this ones really well. That's what we bought into his thing.
Right.
But so the first one is it's what I call the actually, which one should I start with? Internal, external. Let me check, 'cause I have some notes here. Yeah. Yeah, doesn't really matter. The order, it matters in the order that your prospect has it. So what do they need to believe about you? Like about you specifically, as like Dr. Doing, Internal. What do they need to believe about themselves? So a lot of the times, what ends up happening is that they're like, yeah, that worked really well for Guido because he's a master Arduino,
Hmm.
but not for me. That won't work for me. And so when they don't think it will work for them, there's like a huge like a limiting belief, essentially, is what it is, that is telling them like, okay, like I get all this really cool stuff that it can do, like I really get the solution, right? But I don't think it will work for me. So my level of desire is not big enough to overcome that, because I just don't think it will work for me. I'm not like, electronic savvy like Guido. I'm not, you know, like I didn't go through like a bunch of schooling like Guido, like, a bunch of things. Like people make things up in their minds. They just
Hmm.
think like,
Hmm.
oh, that worked for them or for him or for this other person, but not for me, right?
Right.
And so yeah, so that the external, internal, and then I call it the vehicle, which is your actual product. Okay, so these three questions obviously break down into like multiple beliefs, and that's really what we're gonna look at. So
Okay.
keep those in mind. Okay, so
Yep.
far, that's kind of like the theory of it. So now let's go a bit more into the tactics. Okay, so I was taking some notes about the way that you were essentially like bucketing. Okay,
Okay.
where you I think we saw this pyramid. I think I showed you last time, right? That it was like that the funnel is like that, right?
Hmm.
And there's like different like awareness levels,
Hmm.
right? So you have like unaware. Just gonna put. Actually, no, I'll do it with. You want me to do it this?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that's better. Sometimes my little scribbles, like I don't even understand. Like after my what did I say? Yeah. So there's unaware, problem aware, solution aware. Solution aware, product aware, and most aware. Okay, so most aware are like basically those 128 people that already bought. They're the most aware. They bought the product. So then, yeah, they've gone through this whole process, and of course, as we see in the pyramid, the closer it is to that sale or to that most aware is the smallest
Right.
of audience that it gets to.
Right.
And as you go down of like solution, problem, etc., there's bigger, there's more people here, more and more and more and more people than here, than here, than here, than here.
Right.
Right. So this will directly affect essentially, yeah, like how big you can scale things. Because if people only market at this stage, you'll only ever get to this stage big from here to here. Right. If you only market here, like people are like, buy the like whatever, like in your case, if you were just like, sending people straight to like the sales page, like people will be like only the people that, like you said, and this is where I'm gonna get into into this, right? So you have, how many wrote here? 1, 2, 3. You have 4. You have 4 buckets that you told me right now. Okay. So you have the people that, basically don't know anything, but like electronics. Right, that's the first one, because that's the niche, right? So obviously, like like one below would be someone that's not even, they don't even know, like, they don't even like electronics or something.
Right.
Okay, so that's the very first one. They don't know anything, but they like electronics. The second one that you said was that they're kind of like you, like they're like Guido, but
they just haven't. Yeah, they haven't. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, yeah, like it's cool, but yeah, like they're problem aware. Meaning, if you start telling them that, like, yeah, the breadboard sucks and all this, they'll be like, yeah, like it does suck, but like I don't know any other way. That's what I've been doing for a long time.
Right.
Right. So they're problem aware. Then you have the solution aware, which you said they're people that know Arduino, so they're solution aware. They know about their Arduino, but they've never played with it. But never try it.
Wait, I just want to make sure that there's a distinction here, because
yes,
why would that be at the solution aware step and not at the problem aware step? Because Arduino is, that's again, that the Arduino is the blue board. That's not the one that I make. I make the red one that plugs into the blue one.
Right.
So wouldn't solution aware be the Dr. Arduino?
No, that's product aware, because the red one is your product. The blue one is the solution. Like they need to know the blue one before they can know the red one, right?
Yeah.
Like it'll be like, of course someone can, but it might be like a harder jump from here to here, right?
Yeah. Okay, cool. I got it.
Okay, cool. And then the last one, you say they know Arduino and they even tried it. Try it, but never tried Dr. Arduino, right?
Right.
So they can squeeze in there. Okay, so something's interesting. Something is happening here that's very interesting, and I'm gonna go back to your, like, to asking a couple of questions with your videos, right? Sure. So right now, yeah, of course, like when you release certain ads that have done well, you've been marketing it to the right awareness stage with the right creative, and therefore they go and they make the sale. So for a long time you were marketing like up, like over here,
right?
And you got like a lot of people, but then you were kind of like, oh, like why are my ads dying? And it's a problem between data, but also a problem between like how big it really is up here. It's not that many people up here, and the ones that are, it's hard to find them because they're more scarce. They're more like spread out, right?
Okay.
So far so good.
Yep.
Okay. So what we need to know is the following: we need to think like a prosecutor. Okay, so we need to kind of like paint this process, not only in the funnel, how we've done it, giving them content, but also installing certain beliefs. So let me now give you the same exact example with actually telling you what what the beliefs were for this one launch that did really well, but it was, it took a while to figure out what beliefs were, right? So
Mm-hmm.
just imagine over here, it's like the same thing, right? Like imagine they go from like unaware to most aware, right? Linear like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so in this example, it was very interesting. This was a Facebook ads course for pizzeria owners.
Okay.
So pretty interesting. So basically what it was, Facebook ads. It was a Facebook ads, not just Facebook ads. Oops. So it was like, it was basically a course for people that own a pizzeria that want to market on Facebook ads, their pizzeria, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was very interesting because what they started realizing was that, they couldn't make assumptions because they were losing a lot of people. The very first belief they had to give them was that the internet was a viable option
Okay.
to even start with.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Because a lot of people were like, oh, like, like I'm still advertising like offline, like whatever, like that's all I've known. So if you start over here selling you and being like, hey, listen, like social media is the only way, they'll be like I don't even have this one yet.
Right.
How am I gonna believe that the social media is the way, right?
Right.
So then that was the first one. The second one was that their clients are like on the internet. This is not just some like random like place where there's a bunch of like, I don't know, like numbers, or like their local clients are actually on the internet and they will actually come to your store.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like if you don't know that, then if you don't believe that, right? Because that's the thing. We're talking about beliefs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And before I keep going into this, let me just show you this. This is really cool. So this is almost like um, the nature of beliefs. How do beliefs come about in our minds? And beliefs basically filter things in our world, which usually start from like an experience where, let's say that you went to Trey Llewellyn's seminar and it was relevant to you because it was covering your needs. And you made certain assumptions that what they're teaching you is true, and that what they're teaching you is good because of their own story and experiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you came to certain conclusions. You said, okay, well, if Trey Llewellyn is successful and has, done all these funnels, then therefore what he's telling me is true, and therefore I believe it.
Mm.
And as soon as you believe it, then it becomes a reality into your life, and then you can trust it and whatever. The problem is that we usually start our life over here. There's a lot of things, and you might even recall this for your own personal life, where you maybe thought certain things were true, maybe about relationships, maybe about your job, maybe about certain things where you're like, man, yeah, like, getting a job is the only way. Maybe you thought that for a long time,
Yep.
and so did I. And then all of a sudden something happened. You started looking at certain experiences, certain people, your needs started changing. You wanted more freedom, more money. And all of a sudden you came with a new set of beliefs. And now you're filtering the world differently. Like you might still have a lot of friends, right? Like in your work, that they don't believe that the internet is even a viable option to make money for them.
Right.
And therefore, it doesn't matter how much you tell them at all these stages, all these things, if they don't even believe that, that it's even possible for them specifically, then no matter what you tell them, it won't it'll fly through their heads, because the beliefs are the ones that filter the world for us.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So having said that, let's just keep going with the example. So first they were like, okay, we're gonna educate them about the internet being a viable option. So they pull out some stats, some logic on it too, and they say, listen, like, these are some real solid stats, but there are like 100,000 people in like 10-kilometer area that do come and eat pizza. Okay, so then he's like, okay, yeah, I see it. Like, definitely the numbers are there. I believe it now. And then now they're ready for the next one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, but yeah, sure, the internet might be a viable option, but are they my clients? Like, will they actually come like in my, town? And it's like, yes, look, there's all these other ones that are coming to these other places. They're going to come to you too. Okay, great. Now I believe it. Then the next one, and it's going to start getting like more and more sense. They need to believe that, that social media is viable. Because they might be like, okay, so I believe in the internet, but maybe I want to do, I don't know, Kijiji or like a Craigslist or whatever else. Like, you know, I think social media is for kids, you know, people
Mhm.
that say that. I don't think it's viable for me. So if you are starting over here, which we'll get to, like telling them like, hey, like Facebook, like with Facebook ads, you'll be doing all these things. They're like, man, I don't believe that. Like, I believe that's a scam because my
Right.
belief system tells me that social media is not viable. It's only for kids because my clients are not there because the internet is not even a viable option for me, right?
Mhm.
Then the next one up is that this is specifically that paid traffic is what they need. So it's like, you know, a lot of people are like, well, I just want to leverage, like, you know, because this is a Facebook ads course. Like, it's Facebook ads, you know, it's
Right.
not social media. So they need to understand and believe above all things that paid is good. You know, like, don't just conform with the social media. Now, like, now you believe here. This might be already like a problem aware. They're like, yeah, you know, like the world is changing. We need to be like marketing on social media. I get it. But they're like so stuck. They're like, nah, paid traffic is only for like big players. It's only for
Mhm.
like Trey Llewellyn. Like, it won't work for me, right? So as long as you have that belief, like, it's really hard to move them in your process. You
Right.
see what I'm saying?
Yep. Totally.
Yeah. Then the next one is that specifically Facebook is the way. Because let's not assume people might say, okay, well, that's great, but like I'm gonna choose to advertise in, I don't know, AdWords and YouTube. I think Facebook is for kids. I want to do LinkedIn, and so they won't get the sale,
Right.
right? And then the last one, which is usually one of the one of the hard ones, is that they can do it. This guy Rick Sheffrin said something really really wise. He said, like, sometimes one of the hardest things, you know, that you need to do is you need to learn how to help them with their own self-esteem. That you need to help your audience with their own self-esteem. So a lot of the times, even when they have all these different things, even if they believe all these different things, if they get stuck on this one, that they can't do it, they cannot. You know, the people that say, well, I'm not tech savvy, like I'm not, no, there's no way. Like, maybe that's good for young guys, but like, you know, like if you were to have had that belief that you were like, man, like I believe in this, all this is great, and like, yeah, Trey's right and all that, but you're like, yo, it won't, like, not me, because like I'm an engineer.
Right.
Like, you like, I can't do this, like there's no way. But there was something in you that was way greater. Your desire for success was way greater, that you were like, screw it, doesn't matter who I am, I'll become who I need to be, and I'll learn what I need to learn
Exactly.
to make this freaking happen, right? So when you align all these different things,
Yep.
what ends up happening is they become like they're now in the like right, like buying state, right? And if they are in the right buying state, then when you show them your product,
Yeah, they're ready.
it's a no-brainer, right? So right now, I think what is happening, and we're gonna start breaking it down a little more granular, is that there's some beliefs that they need to have in this process that you're not giving them right now. That you're showing them certain cool things, maybe some benefits, some benefit driven of what it can do, but they're like, man, like I don't believe I can do it yet, or I don't believe, right? And so you need to figure out what are those beliefs. Like, even just moving them from, I don't know anything about electronics, to here's the breadboard. There's some things that they need to believe here. It might be just one thing, it might be a couple things, I don't know. Like, you would know
Right.
better than I do. And then they're like, okay, so yeah, like I don't know anything, but yes, it's possible for me to learn. And the first step is the breadboard. Maybe that's what they need to believe for that one, right? Then the next one, maybe from the breadboard to the Arduino, they need to believe that there's a better way. I think this one's easy because you're doing a dramatic demonstration, which, by the way, is one of the best ways to like prove this. Because to install beliefs, it's really easy actually. It's only really two steps. You make a claim, and you give them proof of it.
Right. Right.
You know, if they believe it, if the proof is good enough, because there's multiple types of proof, and I copy them here actually.
By the way, if you hear me hiccuping, I'm sorry. It's like that.
Oh no, I didn't even hear you actually
Oh, okay.
until you said it. Yeah, there's basically four different types of proof. Logical, like we said, stats, numbers, like the internet was a viable option. Anecdotal,
Hmm.
stories, analogies, you know, the things like
Right.
that. Social, like social proof, like testimonials, case studies, like, you know, 1 in 1,000, or sorry, 1,000 doctors recommend this, right? And
Right. Right.
social. And then 4 is like demonstrating it. And I wrote here, like, no argument in the world can ever compare to a dramatic demonstration. So there was this really cool, I can't remember. I don't even know how to Google it. I'll say um, toughest luggage and gorilla. I don't know if you ever saw this commercial. It's right here. That's awesome. 1980. What's this? Yeah, this is like an old commercial.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so basically the whole thing was like listen, like our luggage is like the hardest, you know. So yeah, you could tell them a bunch of stuff and how much weight and things they do, but they were like, you know what, screw it,
Just
put
show
it
them.
inside a freaking gorilla, so it's like dramatic as it could be. And if you can stand a gorilla, it can stand my very, you know, easy need to go from A to B.
Right. Right.
Right, so that dramatic demonstration is literally, yeah, like the best way to do it. So you need to kind of figure out what are those beliefs in that kind of progression that we're talking about, really from the unaware states. Like, I know that, you know, it might be kind of sucky that yeah, like you need to kind of maybe go down even one more, but this is really where like the riches are, you
Well,
know.
but here's the other thing. One
Hmm.
of the other. Oh my god, these hiccups are annoying. The other real issue with going down to
Hmm.
that level at this point is my infrastructure on the tech side. On the tech side. Oh my god, I hate hiccups. I'm sorry.
No worries, no worries.
So in order to bring in people like that, the amount of the amount that people are going to be leaning on me is far larger than the time that I have. Like, there's a lot of
Oh,
things that they need to
I see
know.
what you're saying. Hmm.
Like, they need to know how to solder. They need to know basic electronics. Like, I can't, if I go to that level, uh, I just can't right now. I don't have the throughput.
Now, do you think there's people like, because maybe we went down like too much. Like maybe this stage is not that they don't know anything, but they just like electronics. Maybe they already but know electronics. So maybe you don't need to, you know, kind of give them all the, yeah, because of course there's like a ton of things, right?
Yeah, I
But
mean, right at
mhm,
that level, like, they need basic electronic knowledge. Um,
mhm,
they need to know how to solder, but usually those two go hand in hand.
mhm. Yeah, because I mean, really, when you're able to kind of get them from this place to this place, that's really when like the most powerful thing happens, because you give them like big epiphanies throughout this, and you do it through not only like obviously giving them like, you know, like value, but what you're doing is you're like teaching them too. You're like giving them, yeah, like actual beliefs that like, man, like I can do it, like I can become this like Arduino master and be able to design and do all these robots and crazy things that I have in my mind that I just wanted to do. But you know, I didn't think it was possible until like, you know, Dr. Arduino came along and showed me maybe like 1 or 2 tutorials here, 1 or 2 tutorials here, or videos, like whatever. And again, like I don't know exactly what those blocks are,
Mm,
you know, because obviously the more simple that we can make them, the better. And that's why this process right here is why that guy Rich Schaefer gets paid like, you know, 100,000 for like a sales letter,
right, right.
because he knows how to like get them those beliefs in like one single piece of content. And that's the other thing too, it doesn't need to be that overwhelming. The hard part about this is not so much like, cause like, yeah, like I totally get it. Like in your mind, you're probably like, oh shit, like there's like so much work right now, like so many things I would need to like do, like maybe like another 10 videos that you probably think is like so crazy and complicated, but it doesn't have to be. Because if you can find like one main belief, like, because like sometimes there's like all these smaller ones, like, you know, you've heard that whole thing, like just keep asking why, keep asking why, keep asking why, keep asking why. And what you'll notice, especially when you look at this graph, is that even though there can be a ton of problems, a ton of symptoms, that of course, if you start like approaching it like individually, you're like, oh my gosh, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's like 10 things they need to know. But if you keep asking why, you'll realize that all these ones are a symptom of like one
Right, or of the root cause.
yeah, or 1 or 2. Like it basically just gets super simplified, like 10 to 1 type of thing, right?
Right.
And so once you do that, you can then put the right piece of content, the right copy, the right whatever you need to give them to be able to move them. Because again, like as we saw here, like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like this literally, like the way that Trey did it was like this was like done. Actually, Trey didn't even start here. Like Trey started like maybe here.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, like your clients are on the internet, like you can do this, blah, blah. Like, so he literally did like this in like the webinar, like the first part of the webinar with like the content and whatnot. And he did the second part of the webinar with like the stack. And when he went to like, what you get our help and you get this and you get that. It's like, do you think that you'll be able to do it with all that stuff? It's like, yes, we believe it, Trey. It's like, great. You pay us $5,000, like whatever.
Right. I think it was 20 grand.
yeah, exactly. Right. And so, so this is like the first part of the webinar and like the sales, right? So if you can figure out this question, what do they need to believe in order to buy? And be able to kind of put them in its most like tight way, then you can do the same thing. Because once again, you don't need to have like all these videos. Like you might need to just literally do like one that covers this too, one that covers this too, and one that covers this too. And and that's
honestly,
our bottom.
I think it's trust. I think that's at the very forefront of what do they need to believe about me, right?
Yes.
That I'm not just some Chinese knockoff, right?
Yes.
Or that I am some unreliable, that like look, I'm whatever, director of engineering. Like I've been doing this forever. I've been doing it since I was like 7.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, because the thing that I'm seeing in a lot of my ads is people telling me that like, especially that one ad, where they just, it's a lot of like untrusting kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah, and that's why you might need to have maybe a little bit earlier in the game video where you do show your face and then you just talk to them. Right, or maybe a combination. Maybe you make the video a little bit longer. Maybe it's like a minute and a half. The first part, you're like, hey, how are you? Like, hey, or like you maybe like start with like a question, like, hey, don't you hate when like this and this happened? Like with you on camera, and then it transitions into let me show you something into like your over the top, this kind of thing, right?
Right, well, or even Goonie Box or something. Because I think at the end,
yes.
and that was the other thing. It's what can I do with it? What can I do with Arduino? And but that's talking to the first stage, but not necessarily let's say 2 through 4. So that's it was oh my god. I mean, to your point of it being a wider market, for sure, that is the widest market, because I was getting so much from people over there.
Yeah, and you probably thought, man, like this is like super overwhelming. And yeah, at that point with that ad, of course, you don't want those guys because it is a lot of heavy lifting and it won't work. It will require you to like educate them on exactly what I said. Like I get it, but that's why if you're able to go from the bottom up, and again, you don't need to even like really start to like do all of that, because again, there's still a lot of Jews that you have currently right here. But even right here, I think you need to make sure of that, right? So you have some things that talk about what you can do with it. That's good. That has to deal with what they need to believe about your product. You have some things, like you said, about trust that deals with the first one, what they need to believe about you. That maybe you need to show more your face. You need to kind of give more, trust that, you're a real guy, that you know what you're doing, all these different things. And then maybe you're not approaching this one. I think that if there was one thing that you probably are doing the least is probably this one.
The internal. What do they need to believe about themselves?
And I love it too, because you're already kind of framing it about themselves. You're telling them becoming an Arduino master has to do with this one.
Right.
Has to do with identity. Identity is the internal, right? You got the trust, which you're kind of like the like we said before, right? The guy, the Yoda of the story, right? But who do they need to become to be that Jedi, right? Like being a Jedi is the equivalent of being that Arduino master.
Right.
But before they can, you know, the Arduino master kind of becomes over here. Like if someone doesn't even know what an Arduino is, how will they ever consider to become an Arduino in the first place?
Exactly. And that's what I'm seeing a lot of.
Yes.
Which those people I don't want.
Yeah.
Right now I just
yeah.
go away.
and that's totally cool. But even within this, you know, yeah, because right now basically I believe you're marketing then only here. Because solution aware means they already know what an Arduino, like the word Arduino needs to resonate already. They need to be like, yep, we get it.
Yeah, that is definitely, but that pool there is freaking giant.
It's definitely freaking giant, like in the wide scope of things, but because there's so much noise, and then like you know, they're like right here. Yeah, of course, this is a big group of people, but this group of people is like in the midst, or like kind of hidden, like Find Waldo type of thing, of all this bigger pool of people. So for Facebook, you know, it's harder to market, and that's why there's less pages, that's why there's less things, because more and more people are outside of that, right?
So let me ask you this, because I definitely do want to get to the unaware, right?
Yes.
That they don't know what Arduino is, and that's cool. But only because my infrastructure right now is kind of set up to be, to your point, solution and product aware. You know, I want to at least put out that framework of the funnel. But what could I do at the problem aware level in order to, like, what should go there? Because I do think that's you know, another step that I could do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so the problem aware, you know, it really has to deal with the old way of doing things, like the old way of thinking, the old way. Like, of course, right now they're not even at the solution aware. So if they're at the problem aware stage, means that they need to recognize, and this is the key. Like, you know, I always compare with the whole like 12-step program. Like the first step is like acceptance of problem. Like, hey, like welcome Andres to, like, you know, Alcoholics Anonymous. Like, yeah, I have a problem, guys. Like, welcome Andres, right? That's like the first stage. But if they don't even recognize themselves, it's a problem. Then why would they ever seek anything? If they just think that this is normal, that's how things are supposed to be, whatever, like they'll never recognize that problem. So maybe you need to talk more about the problem of this, right? Like some people might be like, hey, you know what? I haven't experienced that, you know, overwhelmed that you're like, you know, mentioning, but they maybe experienced a problem in another area at this stage. Because at this stage, you know, only you would know. Yeah.
I'm just trying to think, like, what else. So to your point of what's the old way? So if we, because the breadboard is kind of like more, okay, so actually the bigger problem is if you were to do, if you were to bring a project to life, like at my day job, right? We have we use tools and these certain types of chips which are immensely powerful. I mean, it's literally stuff that goes into space shuttles and stuff, right? Just super powerful. But if you were to try to make Goonie Box, for example, with one of those tools, it would take you weeks, and I'm not kidding you, weeks to get an LED just to blink. Forget about controlling motors and doing this, that, the other thing, just to get a freaking light to blink. And that's what Arduino solved, right? I didn't solve that, and I guess I'm just talking out loud just to try to figure out what
yeah.
So Arduino solved that piece. I did not. But what Arduino didn't solve is they then made it harder to get in the middle of understanding.
So another problem came through it, right? And that's why it's so nice when like your solution then comes, which is like,
so
yeah, like maybe it'll be good to make a, and again, like part of the challenge with this is that it doesn't just come like, oh, like you're just thinking harder about it. Like a lot of this sometimes involves like messaging people, like getting deeper, like doing more research and stuff like that. Because if you can, again, like distill in its simplest form like this, like from the internet to my clients are there to the social media, to so that by the time you do get to your the buying state, I'm sorry, the product, then they're already at the buying state, and they get it, but you've addressed all questions at all levels, so yeah, like, try to like sit down, like answer this once in like as best as possible, and make a list of like, yeah, like what are all the problems that the Arduino has solved, because even though you might want to already start talking about your Dr. Arduino like red product, like you can't at that stage yet because they're here. If you do that, you might overwhelm them and they might just like check out, right? So
Right.
that's part of like the freaking challenge with this whole marketing thing, because to deliver the right message at the right time is tough. It's not just the right message, it's at the right time too.
So actually, now that I'm looking at this a bit more,
Hmm.
maybe it's not so much that it's the problem of the breadboard, right? Because that's a little bit low.
Right, yeah, it might not be exactly.
It's the problem of Arduino's great, but these things suck about it.
Mm, yeah, exactly. Yeah, it might it
Because
might it might be that, hey guys, like honestly, that might be kind of like a mind shifting for people. Is like, guys, the problem that you have is the solution that you think you're having, and they're both wrong. You need a new solution, and it's really a different root cause. Like basically, like if this makes sense, I wrote this too because this is really cool. Where is this? Hold on a second. This is really, yeah, here it is. Beautiful. This is really cool. Yeah, because when you can frame things like this, it becomes really powerful for people because it like shatters their belief. So it's like, this is kind of like the logic, the logic. You think that the problem is X and you're doing Y. So you think that the problem is, the breadboard, you're doing this, but the real problem is the Arduino, it's or like the Z, and doing Y makes things worse. Like doing this one makes things worse. So what you're doing is actually making things worse. So you're not only in the wrong solution or in the wrong, product, but the very thing that you're doing is actually deepening the problem, which is giving you horrible symptoms, and that's why you feel so discouraged and you don't think you can ever become an Arduino or like a electronics master or whatever it is, right?
so
Yeah.
thinking the when people first come into my group, I think I told you I have them like tell me a little bit about themselves, and
Yeah.
everybody that comes in, they want one of two things. They either want to know more about Arduino,
Hmm.
or want tips and tricks,
Hmm.
or they want project ideas.
Hmm.
So that's another way to, I guess, to come from a belief side, which is you really can make anything with Arduino, but you need to know certain things.
Yes, you need to know certain things, and again, like sometimes we might want to like cram like three different beliefs into like the same video, but if they're really far in the process, like if they're really like somewhere in here, they won't even have like the capacity to like sit through the video, understand it, take it in, and apply it. They might just be like, oh, like tuning out, like watching like 20% of the video, whatever, right? So sometimes it's not so much, and I tell people this, like sometimes it's not so much about the length itself that people are not watching your video.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people think just the shorter the better, the more people I can get, and it's like, no, not always. It's more the fact that you're not giving them the right message at the right time. You're giving them too much of the message at the wrong time, or maybe it's the right time but it's the wrong message,
Right.
or
Right.
what I mean. So playing with that and always kind of having this structure in mind will help you. So for example, the debugger, okay, this video right here, which which question do you think it categorizes, and to which temperature is it for? Let's just go through it, like all three of them real quick.
They're probably all product aware. Right. I mean, okay. So if we look at the debugger,
Mm-hmm.
I mean that I'm talking about a specific feature of it.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to believe. Oh, believe. Yeah. So the third one. So
The
the vehicle.
terrible. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the vehicle, right? Now, how about the purchasing stack?
I forget which one this was.
Let's see. Oh, this, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a test fixture. So that's another one. That's the same thing.
That's product aware, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's still, yep. And the simulator is the same one. The one which is different
Mm-hmm.
is the one that I sent you the link. Yeah, because this one talks to you can start with Arduino in one of two ways, like this or like this.
Right.
Which which way do you want to start?
Right.
That one, let's see. That's probably their you believe about themselves. Yeah, I guess the first one wasn't he, I don't know. I actually don't know. Or is it still in the vehicle?
Yeah, I think it's still in the vehicle. Yeah, I think so. And I think they're all great, and they all really get you like very clear about the vehicle. But you see where maybe the gap is.
Mm.
So yeah, you can give them 100 videos and a crazy awesome quality about this one, but guess what? If they're having trouble here and here, oops,
Yeah.
it'll be really hard for them to click and actually make that buying decision. So in other words, only the people that are buying right now through that, through these ones are the people that already have these ones already figured out, because they're like, you know what, this guy won't even be talking about these things if he didn't know all of this. I like, real, recognize real. I believe him. He's cool. Yes, I obviously believe I can do it. Like I've already been like playing, tinkering with Arduino, like doing certain things. Yeah, boom, buy it, done. Right. But there's a lot of people that you're missing right now that are just like, I don't know if I can trust this guy. Another one that might say, I can trust him. Wow, the product looks really cool, but is it really for me?
Yeah.
Is it really? And when I say is it really for me, sometimes it's not even just like the ego aspect, or sorry, the self-esteem aspect of it. It's also
Hmm.
sometimes like the practicality of it. Sometimes it's like, yeah, well, I believe I can do it, but like, how does that even look like? Like, what do I have to do then? Like, I don't really see myself doing it. So you might need to paint a more clear picture that like, guys, like this is easy. Like if you've been through this and that, like no problem. Like look, like let me even do a video and I'll time you. Like I'll time it. Like boom. See, look, it took 3 minutes to like, because like you have a lot of power to do like dramatic demonstrations, which
Yep.
is really cool. And so you can give them those beliefs by doing certain things. Like some people might think like, oh, he's cool, the product's awesome, but I don't have enough time. I'm too busy. I'm too busy of a dude to do it. And in your mind, you're thinking like, man, no, it's actually going to be faster than what you're doing. You'll cut like, your time in like half or more, and you'll actually be able to do it fast, but they don't know it yet
Mm.
until you go into a video and you're like, hey, 1, 2, 3, boom, timer. And you're like, you see, it only took me 10 minutes versus the other one where I put this GoPro on a time lapse. It took me 3 hours or
Right.
something like that. And then it's just like, okay, the claim is very clear and the proof is very clear. Therefore, you move from that belief. You're like, got it. Yeah. I see it. I get it.
Right.
I see it. I get it. 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 And when you line all those up, then the sales part becomes really easy. Remember, like marketing and sales is different. Sometimes people confuse.
Yep.
Marketing is your messaging. Is what happens before the sale
Sale.
part.
Yep.
And then the sale, yeah, exactly, right? So yeah, I think that's really where where the where the gap is right now, where you need to get, kind of like action plan. Like number one, you need to, uncover uncover belief chain. Two, you know,
To be honest, I have no idea how to do that. How to do those.
yeah, that's definitely challenging. That's why those guys get paid what they get paid, because at that point there's just a lot of the answer is research, the answer is asking people, the answer is you know just taking a stab at it too, trying to put your own self back when you didn't know those things. Like I think really it starts there many times. So like trying to put yourself there of like what did I believe at the time, or like why did I think I could do it, and like how did I overcame that? Because obviously, like even in our example of like Facebook ads and internet marketing, obviously something happened that that you went from like the job is the way, like, yeah, there's no way I can do any like marketing stuff or sell something online. Me, no, like I'm an engineer. You
Mm.
know, you obviously went from that to like,
Yeah,
heck
totally.
yeah, I can do it. Heck yeah, I'm selling 1,000 a day. Like obviously something happened. You upgraded your mindset. You came to a new belief system that make like that, you know, basically took you to where you're now. So try to put yourself in it. Try to put yourself in it and answer these questions. What do I need? Like, what do I need? What would I need to believe in order to buy if I was them? You know, what was my blocks or my walls about trusting anyone, or my blocks about why I couldn't do it. And
Right.
usually you'll find patterns. You'll be like, oh, you know what? Like I never really have heard of a powerful testimonial until I met Trey, for example, right? Like some people it was like that. They're like, wow, like his story really resonated with me. Like now I believe I can do it. Like
Right.
now I believe it's possible, right? And so I think that part of the challenge here too is that you have a lot of really cool technical stuff that of course cover the product and are great, but I think it's time to start shedding more of like your brand, like your story, like you, Guido, because you are Dr. Duino, you know, and it can be scary to like start putting yourself out there more and to tell your story and to be running ads and people being like, yeah, you suck, and like
Yeah.
I'm be like, oh, but you just have to like grow like thicker and thicker skin to know that
Yeah.
like, hey, if someone's like giving you like a lot of stuff, it's not because of you. They obviously have like internal issues and
Right.
stuff
Right.
that then that they feel the need to like come in with all this hate. Like there's obviously some like crappy stuff they're dealing with themselves and they're just expressing their, you know, frustration on you or whatever else, right? So yeah, I think that part of the thing here is that your story itself is powerful, and delivering it in the camera, looking at the camera, telling them what happened, how it happened, it's like really powerful, and it definitely will help them get at least this one when you come on camera, you know, because then they're like, okay, he's a real person. He looks like a really cool, really trustworthy guy. And the cool thing is that you've already taught a lot of this stuff before. You're really well spoken. You know what you're doing. Like even that's why I told you what I told you here. Like the fact that you could make these videos and it's not cheesy is because you speak as someone with authority, and your authority has come from
Mm.
actual experience. That's why it's
Okay.
believable to me, you know. So um, what else do you think? So yeah, I think that's where where it's at right now.
All right. Let me just ask you.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
I definitely gotta flesh out. I agree. Um,
Let's see.
you know, a level or two up.
Mm-hmm.
So let me. Can I just? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let me share the screen.
Yeah, I just noticed it's 7:30. I was just like
Holy
geek out,
crap!
but then I'm like, oh my god, like I have other stuff to do.
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
No, no
This.
worries. No, I'm the one that like just went to it. But yeah, show me one last thing. So good.
Okay. So the structure that I have here, though, in terms of being able to like deploy at least
Mm-hmm.
my infrastructure
Mm-hmm.
that you saw here, this I can still do this at this point, right? And
Yeah,
then all
yeah,
of
you
that
can
other
still.
stuff that we talked about actually needs to occur over here.
Yeah, exactly. It needs to recur over there, and it actually might end up looking like again like the same process. Like we're still moving them from like stage to stage, from like top to funnel to middle funnel to bottom. Like it's still the same. It just more changes, like more of like the granular of like what are you saying exactly? Like what video are you sending them, and all these different things. So
Right.
you know, yeah, really.
Because what I was thinking was to actually take the content from my website
Mm-hmm.
and pumping that up here so that way people begin to know who I am, right? And they begin to see that like I do know kind of what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
um,
no, I think that would definitely increase you know, that credibility and
the
that
trust.
trust. Yeah, for sure. But I tell you, like you might need like 2 3 different like blog posts like being retargeted, you know, to get the same level of trust and authority of like you on video telling them, you know, in
Ah,
one
true.
minute your story, you know. So
Gotcha.
like you might, yeah, you might just be able to do it like so much more efficiently by doing some of those things.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I can definitely do that. I don't want to like scrap what I've done thus far.
No, don't scrap it. No, what you've done is great. Like you've definitely come like like super long way. Optimized for add to car. You have a ton of data. You're building data. You're still at least breaking even. It's all good. You know, you're wrestling. You're working through it, and just try to even at this stage, right? Like what we said before, where you're marketing, the solution aware and like product aware stage. Like try to also nail down if you can, because you obviously know this audience a lot better than the problem aware and unaware, right? Like you haven't
Yep.
spent much time there. So even in this one, try to see if you can keep asking why about certain things to try to get to like a deeper root cause. Because if you can deliver what they need to know in one video versus in 3, yeah, like that makes the whole world of a difference,
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just exploring that.
Can you do me a favor? Can you just send me that what you just wrote? I don't know if you can like make it into a PDF and email it, but that would be really useful.
Yeah, totally. I'll give you my my notes of those like videos that I took, and yeah, actually I'll just send it to you right now. So just
Cool.
quick copy paste.
And then the last thing is, so are you ready to? Do you want to try the PayPal thing? Because we are at a point where we're ready to onboard.
Oh, okay, cool. Let me talk to my wife. She's the one that has a product already out.
Okay.
I am still working on. It's taking me forever too because I'm a little bit split apart. But
I hear you.
yeah, I will definitely I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Did you see the video on how it works?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so smooth.
Yeah, it's really. I don't know if you took a look at what they had put
No,
out, but
no, I haven't.
it's garbage. It's utter
Yeah.
garbage, and people.
I love that.
People are starting to see that it's garbage because you can't do a lot of the stuff. It's not a true one-click upsell. It's not. The way that they did it was you do the first sale. The second one, when they say yes, I want this, it brings up another PayPal window, which they then have to go in and acknowledge again, and then so on and so forth.
Oh yeah, that makes it super tedious for the client. So many clicks, right? No, I love that you like, yeah, shortcut that. And yeah, I'll definitely tell my wife. She's starting to run some traffic. She's like figuring out, because like a lot of this stuff too, man, like you're getting almost like the still version, but this is taking me like so long to freaking like put together, like quantify, figure out, because it's so abstract. Like beliefs,
Totally.
like, what does that even mean? Like problem aware, like what does that even, like it's so hard to like freaking wrap your head around it. So it's been like video mentor, like training program, like fail experience, lose a bunch of money, make a bunch of money, go back, another mentor. Like it's been like freaking.
I know it's been crazy.
Yeah.
But all right. So if you guys can get a Braintree account, do you have a Braintree account?
I don't, but I would get one. Yeah.
Yeah. If you can get one, it takes like a couple of days to get it set up. Because I'm going to start testing on myself first, hopefully this week.
Awesome. That might really increase your conversions, and you'll be like, woohoo, like back to like.
It's going to change it dramatically because most of my demographic is people who do not trust.
Yeah, they hate credit cards. Yeah, they hate credit cards. They rather do everything through PayPal because they know that it's safe. It's fierce. Yeah, it's fierce out there with all the credit card scams. I know.
Totally. All right. Well, let me know.
Yeah, I'll let you know. I'll talk to her. I'll let you know. But yeah, awesome. Great session. I hope that this makes sense. It's
totally
cool, man.
Helped out a lot. Thank you so much.
Take care, brother.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.